Hey guys, it's Tom from Ignite. Today we're going to be discussing Jonathan Swift's 1726 Gulliver's Travels. We're going to be talking particularly about form in this video, the different styles of form and structure that Swift employs. Make sure that if you like this video that you click subscribe on all of Ignite's videos, and make sure that you click the bell for more notifications as well. So let's get into it without any further ado. There are two things that I want to be talking about in terms of Swift's form, the different ways that he employs form in this text. The first is in terms of the epistolary form of the text. The second, I'm going to be talking about satire. So epistolary form is something that kind of gets thrown around a lot, and I feel like a lot of people kind of use it without really understanding its true meaning or purpose. Essentially, epistolary form is any kind of text that is based on a series of documented truths, right? So in this context, what we're seeing is kind of the monologic form in which this text employs. So it is not written as kind of a depiction of sort of an omniscient narrator, but it is narrated by Gulliver himself. So Swift is kind of oddly absent from the text. I think that's an important thing, firstly, to note, this idea that Swift himself was sort of not really seen as present. In fact, I believe in the first manuscript that was presented, it was written as sort of by Gulliver. Like it was completely, this kind of notion of fully engrossed authenticity infuses so much of the text. I think we really get an understanding then of how we can link that to the rubric of reimagined worlds, because you have such a clear idea of who this fictive narrator is, that it's such an obvious example of how this sort of Swift is doing the reimagining, but also Gulliver in some sense is the one that is kind of retelling this story. So you have these different layers of reimagining, and being able to sort of differentiate between those, between the author, between this kind of fictional author, and then the fictional world that sort of sits below that. Being able to understand those layers is really critical to sort of understanding the text at its whole. I think as well, the other point that I would make in terms of epistolary form is just the way that this sort of monologic style in which sort of Gulliver is making these realizations kind of as the story is being told is how it links back to this point of authenticity. So it is critical, as we're going to talk about in the next section with satire, it's critical that in a sense, Swift never breaks character, never lets you know that this is a satire that is being written. So it's authentic all the way through in the sense that he adopts the language of these sort of colonial voyages. He adopts a lot of the different like sort of styles of writing, sort of the way they would discuss these worlds that they'd come across. So I think that informs basically a lot of the humor that undergirds this text, but also the sort of message behind that. So what I mean by that, we're going to be talking about satire and the satirical form that Swift employs for this text. And this is really important to understand. I think sort of this is the skeleton key, the cipher for this text, is to understanding how satire is employed in this text. So it's important to firstly make a distinguishment between satire and comedy, I guess. Comedy is probably the broader umbrella term here, but satire is kind of a different thing. Satire isn't a distraction. It's not really relief or catharsis. Satire is a different way of challenging authority, essentially. Satire has a point of view, and it's got a subject, it's got something it's satirizing, but it sort of has teeth, if you understand what I'm saying. It is challenging the traditional structures of power in that society. So we can see a couple of different things that Swift is obviously satirizing. I discussed in the context video the prevalence of Defoe's Robinson Crusoe, which was this novel that had been released 7 years prior. And I think obviously from like a literary sense, he's satirizing a lot of those tropes and that kind of optimism while putting his character in like a similar mindset, but obviously in these increasingly bizarre worlds that he's coming across. But I also think one thing we haven't discussed is sort of the philosophical subjects that clearly Swift is satirizing. So predominant at the time would have been the likes of Locke and Hobbes, and sort of their kind of ideas of this sort of burgeoning society, and that is like brought together by these ideas of like contract and these sort of social contract theories, things of that nature, that Swift is clearly, through displaying these different societies that function in completely different ways, and particularly in these kind of broadly alienated and sort of corrupted ways, I think Swift is clearly satirizing the kind of pedantry of a lot of these moral treatises that were sort of so prevalent at the time. So I think satire is just the other aspect that you should really understand. It should inform a lot of the analysis that you're doing. By understanding these sort of formal conventions that Swift's employing, I think it better helps you understand the ways that these sort of key themes really come through. So that's what I have for the form for Gulliver's Travels. Thanks very much for watching, guys. If you like this video, make sure you subscribe to the Ignite feed, and you can check out all the other content we do. But thanks very much for watching.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. If you do like the content, subscribe to our channel and we'll have more videos coming your way.
That's right, guys. Thanks for watching. And please make sure you check out our online resource database. We've had a team of state rank achievers and heads of English put these together for you, covering everything from essay structures and examples all the way through to craft of writing and comprehension skills. So check them out at ignitehse.com.au, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.